So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of like non-chicken nuggets. So these nuggets are made from chicken, but they're made to emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope. Let's boost that sound quality. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Emulate the taste of non-chicken nuggets. Dope. Non-chicken nuggets. Non-chicken nuggets. But they're made to emulate the taste of vegan nuggets. Sounds tasty.
Hello, hello. Hi, Ashley.
Hi, Christiana.
How's it going?
Great. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to be here too with you and our wonderful audience members who are tuning in from all over the world, from England to Indiana, Toronto, Syracuse, truly all over. Welcome to Video for Podcasts. It's easier than you think.
I think it's
I'm
more
Christiana.
Like video for podcasts?
That's
it's
true.
Easier than you think.
Video? That's right. That's the right intonation there. Yes, we've got a lot of ground to cover. We're going to really talk about video for podcasts from A to Z. But quick introductions first. I'm Christiana. I'm our community manager here at Descript. And our lovely host and guest is Ashley, our managing editor here at Descript and also a podcaster. Welcome. Welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Of course. Of course. Yeah, I feel like this is something we've talked about at Descript internally for so long, like video podcasts. How do we help creators with this? So I think it's about time we're up here chatting about it. I'm excited.
Yeah, me too. Yes, we've been talking about this since I got here, and
Same.
It has been. I've learned so much, and I have so many things to say about it, and I'm really excited to share.
Awesome. Cool. Sweet. So before we jump into all those things, I am going to share some agenda items so everybody knows what they can expect today. Sweet. All right. Let me get that caption down so everyone can see. Cool. So this is what you're looking at for the next hour or so. We're going to talk about why you should be doing video for your podcasts. We'll cover short versus long form video and the pros and cons of each of those options. Ashley's going to cover technical tips for filming, editing, and packaging those video clips for social. And then I'm really excited to look at real examples from indie podcasts with real indie budgets. We've got quite the lineup to share. And then, of course, Q&A at the end. The way we do this is I ask Ashley a bunch of questions and she answers and shares her expertise we've gathered on our blog, Creator HQ. But also I'll be looking at your questions throughout this. So keep them coming and we'll send those to Ashley at the end. And here's how to do that. So in Crowdcast, there's the Ask a Question section below. Throw your questions in there. And I'm looking at those. Our wonderful friend Katie, also a Descript team member, is in that section as well. And we'll make sure we get those answered for you. And then use the chat for reactions, chatting, commentary, introducing yourself, all that good stuff. If we freeze, refresh your browser. That normally does the trick. But we're also streaming to YouTube right now. So if you're really struggling with Crowdcast, jump over to YouTube. We'll share that link in the chat for you. And if you're on YouTube right now, thank you for being here. We see you too. And I can see your chat as well. So put your questions in the chat and I will bring those up too. This session is recorded, as are all of our events, and it'll live on YouTube right after this. And if you're a Descript user and you are here because you wanted some Descript help, perhaps, we're actually not going to cover Descript technical stuff today. We're just chatting about the craft of video podcasts. But if you need help, check out help.descript.com. And even if you aren't a Descript user, definitely check out our Discord. There are almost 13,000 creators in there, which is super exciting. And we would love for you to be a part of that conversation.
And maybe to mention, if you do want help making video podcasts specifically, there
Yes.
on YouTube, we do have a 101 by Kevin doing that exact thing in Descript. So that'll be super useful for you.
Exactly. Yes. That is the perfect segue. We would be remiss to not mention Descript or explain really quickly what it does. If you're brand new, it's Descript is an audio and video editor that lets you edit media like a doc. Ashley and I are both users as well as employees. So are we biased? Yes. But we also are here because we love the product. And it makes things like video podcasting a lot easier. So if you want to give it a try, you can for free for a month with that code. I'll bring this up at the end too. Don't worry about scrambling to write it down. And it will be in the follow-up email. But yes, as Ashley mentioned, we do events like this all the time. We do Creator HQ events like this about once a month, and Kevin and I go live almost every week doing like a tutorial style event. So if you're looking for Descript tutorials and the past events that Ashley and I have done too, check out our YouTube, the live events playlist. Cool. Those are my housekeeping. That's the boring stuff. Now it's the fun stuff. If you've just joined us, we're talking about video for podcasts. Got that intonation down? It's easier than you think. So thanks so much for being here. Okay, and one thing really quick is Ashley, folks are saying they're having a little bit of a hard time hearing you.
Oh
Is there a way you could turn up
Am I
your
too
mic maybe?
quiet? What about now? Does that sound
Yeah, a
better?
little too quiet, I think they
I
said.
turned up the knob.
Okay.
Good. All right.
That sounds good to me.
Okay.
Folks, let us know.
Yeah. Give me a thumbs up.
Yeah. In the chat, thumbs up, perhaps.
Thank you. Awesome.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. Working on it.
Thanks for letting me know.
Sweet. Cool. Okay. Yeah, folks, if that works, if that's better, or if you're still having trouble, let us know in the chat because I can see that.
Cool. Yeah. No.
Okay. It's saying no difference.
They're saying no difference.
Yeah. Okay.
So I can turn off all my fancy stuff that will let people hear YouTube, but
let's see. All right. Up the gain more. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, folks. We're working on it. We've got some fancy stuff in the background that connects audio. So we can turn off the fancy stuff. Okay. Now I can't hear you at all, actually.
That's because it muted me. What about now?
Oh, I can hear you great. I've heard you.
Oh, you've been hearing me this whole time. Okay.
Yes.
What about everybody else? Because I turned off all the fancy stuff. This is just my mic now.
Okay. Cool. All right. I think that should work, folks.
Okay.
Let us know. Yeah, there's also like a slight lag between what we're looking at and Crowdcast.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Better.
I'm going to turn up my mic level again. No?
Okay. It sounds like people are now hearing normally. Sounds okay,
Yes?
just not very loud.
Just not very loud? Oh.
Weird. Okay.
I don't know.
All right. Well, here's what I think. Okay, we got it.
We got it? We're good?
Yes. Better. Woo!
Live events. This is great.
Yes. it would not be live if something like this didn't occur.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for helping us out with that. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
So yeah, this might mean we won't get to play the audio of some of our clips.
Yes.
At the end, but that's okay. We'll still show you. It's about the visuals, right?
It's about the visuals. Absolutely.
Okay. Perfect. Appreciate you all very much. Thanks for sticking with us. I think we can start now.
Okay, let's start. Let's do it.
Unless it's like Christiana's hat is on fire or like and you can hear the lawnmower. I don't know. Hopefully we're good now. Okay, sweet. Okay, well, without further ado, I think it's time to jump into the topic.
All right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the good stuff now. Okay, so our first major section is, why should you be doing video for your podcast? What's the big deal? Why does this matter, Ashley? Why is this such a hot topic?
So the simplest answer for that is it opens you up to a gazillion more platforms. You know, when you upload your audio only podcast, it goes to podcast players, and that's pretty much it. If you have video, you can use it on YouTube, you can use it on TikTok, you can use it on Instagram, you can use it as social clips on Twitter. And all of these things are way more engaging than doing just a text post saying, hey, new episode, this is what we talked about. If you have actual people talking, that is way more people, you know, it'll catch people's eye. So that's the main reason. But then also, YouTube is just huge and getting huger in the podcast space. There are 3 different podcast reports in 2022, Voices, Cumulus, and Illuminate surveys that say that YouTube is now the top platform for podcast listening. That might sound really surprising, but it's true. And it's also the world's 2nd largest search engine. So it's a place to be found. And we've also talked to many podcasters who are using short form video on TikTok and Instagram to actually reach way, way, way more people than their actual audio listeners, because those are algorithm based. They push them out to people. If the thing that you post becomes popular, a ton of people are going to see it. And so that's a way to get more eyes on your stuff. And I want to say, though, that this is a thing that a lot of, I think it took me actually a really long time to understand this, but YouTube, we talk about YouTube so much as a way that you can get more audience, but it is also another platform with different rules than podcasts, than audio only, that you need to learn the algorithm. You need to know what works. You need to kind of learn its rules and actually, you know, optimize your stuff for those rules in order to get audience. Just because video can help you reach a larger audience does not mean it will automatically reach a larger audience. You have to do the work. So, yeah.
Right. It is not a magic cure-all for all of those discoverability woes, for sure, but it's but it's huge. It's undeniable. The fact that it's one of the top, did you say the top podcast discovery platform?
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. Well, clearly it's important. And what you said about like discoverability on like social and stuff, one of my favorite podcasts is something I found on TikTok. So
there you go.
Yeah, that's a great point for sure. Sweet. Okay. Well, you're a podcaster. You have an awesome podcast called Taboo Science.
Yeah.
Where are you at with your video podcast journey? What has that been like for you?
So for the first few years of that podcast, I was using Libsyn, and Libsyn will automatically post a static image for you on YouTube if you tell it to. So it'll do the static image with the audio underneath. And I was doing that for all of my episodes. Weren't getting a lot of views, obviously. And you know, I took a little hiatus, started working at Descript, started learning all this stuff about video podcasts. And in my latest season, I am now trying to put as much video, actual footage into my episodes as possible. And that means that I am recording on Squadcast, telling all of my guests that I will be recording video so that they, you know, look presentable. I record my own narration in video. And then I edit it all into Descript as I would an audio file, but with the video there. And then that makes it really easy to export to YouTube. So it's not like fully optimized. It's still something that like I don't have, you know, I have admitted to myself that I don't have the time to make a fully produced extra video podcast, but I do as much as I can to make it as vivid as I can. And like, it's I still think it's better than an audiogram. which an audiogram is still better than nothing. So
Totally.
yeah.
Cool. That's awesome to hear. And I think a lot of those pieces that you just touched on from your personal experience, we will dive into a little bit more.
Yep.
Great. Okay, well, before we dive into the doing and that sort of thing, I have a philosophical question for you.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious to hear what other folks in the chat think as well. But when this first started to be like a hot topic, video podcasts became a thing, and the podcast community started like debating whether or not to do it. There was a group that I lovingly refer to as like audio purists, right? That were really protective of the podcast as an audio only format, right? And I don't resent isn't the right word, but they were definitely like, keep video out of here. Like, this is our thing, this is our jam. And it seems like, yeah, there's this portion of folks who are just very against this sort of thing. What's your take on that? Where do you sort of see that debate going? Yeah, what are your thoughts?
So I think that's a reasonable position to take. And you don't have to do video. You don't have to. There are lots of very successful podcasts that have never done video. It's just another avenue to get audience and to have people find your content. But I will also say that a lot of the podcasts that you would consider to be these like pinnacles of audio purity or whatever, have a video. They're on YouTube now. Like a bunch of NPR podcasts are on YouTube. A bunch of New York Times podcasts are on YouTube. You know, there's recently an article about how they weren't doing that well, but we'll get to that.
We'll cover it. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just, I think maybe some of the purity argument is about how audio is a very intimate medium. It's something that you have to fill in the details yourself. So you're really immersed in it. You're engaged, and it's kind of like reading a book almost.
Right.
You come up with what you're seeing in your own head, and when you add visuals to that, it takes some of that away. And what's interesting about that is that there are actually a lot of like fiction podcasts who, that would be the prime suspects for that, right? That are actually doing some form of video also. It's just, you just have to find the right way to do it for your show, I think.
Totally. Yes. Yeah. It is not one size fits all for sure. And there's like, for sure, a group of people. I have not yet been like watching video podcasts, for example, but I haven't gone all the way down that spectrum, but I'm finding all those clips on like TikTok or Twitter, and then going and listening on Spotify. So like, I think you're so right that you don't have to do the whole enchilada. You can still, have your jam be the audio side while reaping those benefits.
Totally.
So, super cool. Sweet. Someone asked if they could get a link or hear more about your where to find your podcast, Ashley, so they could, or maybe some of those video, like where could people check out how you've been experimenting with this?
Absolutely. And actually, I just changed an audio setting. So if something's weird, let me know. Or if something's better, let me know.
Cool.
It's Taboo Science. TabooScience.show is the podcast website, and Taboo Science on YouTube. You can see there are 3 videos so far in this season. So
cool.
You can check them out there.
Awesome. Sweet. Cool. And folks, just a reminder, keep your questions coming in the Ask a Question section. I see them, and I will save them for Ashley for the Q&A session. Or if there's a perfectly timed one, I'll throw it in live, such as the plug your podcast question. Yeah. Okay, great. Well, next section. Let's jump into short versus long form video. We've teased this out a little bit here. But yeah, could you talk us through the pros and cons of short form and long form? Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people, when they think video podcast, they think the entire episode. That's usually what it means. And that's just one way to do it.
Right.
And as I said before, in order to be successful on YouTube, you really have to you have to optimize for the algorithm. So you have to have a great title, not the same title that you had on your podcatcher. You have to have a great thumbnail. You have to have, SEO driven description and things like that. So it's a little bit of extra work. And if you, obviously a full length video episode is also a lot of extra work. But if you just have the video components to your episode, if you have that video file from your guest or from you recording your narration, that can be really helpful for making this short form content for a lot of social media platforms. So you can pick out, the juiciest quote or a few of them from your episode and share them throughout the week to, keep people abreast of that there's this new episode. And it's it can be a lot more of an effective way to share your stuff, and it can also just be easier, right? It's easier to do that than it is to do a full length episode. So that's one way to do it. And there are also ways to do short form video for your podcast that has nothing to do with the episode you recorded. So as I was saying about YouTube, every single social media platform has its own thing that does well. So like TikTok, for example, I'm an old and I am learning TikTok. Like I am it's taking me a long time to like figure out, okay, this is what does well on TikTok, and this is how
it's a tricky place.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And one of the things about TikTok is that realness is what works. So if you post, I think we've all seen the two people sitting across each other with like nice microphones talking on TikTok. And that's a thing. But a lot of the time, what's more successful is just for you to get on your phone and talk into your phone and say, hey, I just recorded this episode. Here are 5 things I learned. It comes out, tomorrow. So make sure to download it. And that's a great way to do it. And I have an example of someone who does that really well that we'll go over at the end.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, that's like relevant for even us at Descript. Like we're talking about how to get more video on our social, and we're like, well, let's do TikTok because it doesn't have to be that fancy. It can just, be someone talking to their phone, which most of us have access to at this point. So, that's awesome. I'm curious, in the chat, just let us know, have you started experimenting with TikTok yet? Where are you at in your TikTok journey?
Yeah.
I feel like we could do a whole event on TikTok. Maybe we should do that at some point.
Yeah.
Cool. Sweet. Okay. Next question for you on this. So we talked about how the long form video involves probably higher production budgets and things like that. And most of us, especially if we're just starting out, probably haven't budgeted in those good cameras and all that stuff. Or maybe you just don't have time to edit the whole thing. Do you think it's still worth it just to do an audiogram? And if so, why?
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
I think it's worth it to be on YouTube, period. So if you can't do all the things I'm saying with like optimizing and SEO and everything, like fine, that's fine. Be there, get that handle, get that like account age, because that's something that YouTube cares about, and watch time. If the more watch time you have, the more things you're allowed to do. So that's important. There are also some YouTube channels for video podcasts, that don't use footage, that are just a static image that do really, really well. I'll say, Darknet Diaries does really well. We'll look at some of those. There's also Welcome to Night Vale does really well. Static image. It sometimes it depends on your niche. Sometimes it depends on just how long you've been there. But it is possible. And the other thing that audiograms are really good for is putting your back catalog on YouTube. Because you maybe don't have footage for all that stuff, and we actually, Descript has helped a number of pretty big name podcasts do that exact thing, put their entire back catalog on YouTube to get those views. Totally.
Yeah, it really is. Just like the thing with YouTube is sometimes the only place where people are consuming like media, it seems, right? Like I definitely have friends who are like, my laptop is just open and I'm listening to my podcast on YouTube. I'm not looking at it. It's a static image, and that's how I listen. And clearly that's true for millions of people if it's the number one podcast discovery. So like worth the experiment, at least, I would say, for sure.
For sure.
Cool. Awesome. Okay, last question on this section, and then we can keep chugging along here. There's some folks in the chat who have said this too. I haven't started video yet because it feels scary. It's daunting to add a whole new like content flow. So regardless of which of these video avenues folks take, short versus long form, what's your advice, Ashley, for someone who's done this before for day zero, like just getting started?
Getting started, just try to incorporate video into your existing workflow. So if you, if you have interview guests and you usually interview them on Zoom, get a Squadcast account, get a Riverside account, start interviewing them there. You can use Zoom, but it's higher quality on these cloud-based apps. And start letting them know that you're going to be collecting video. People don't really balk at that. It's just sort of like, oh, okay, I guess I have to do my hair, Right. And if you just start incorporating video in every step of the way, doing exactly what you would have been doing already, you just have that material. That's absolutely what I would recommend on day zero. And then the editing portion, Descript makes it really easy to edit video. That's one reason that I never did it before, is because editing video is so daunting. Like I remember one time in a podcast that I used to host for Discovery, we got an award and we needed to record an acceptance speech. And it was, I think my co-host who usually did this was like out that day, and I had to get into Premiere and edit this like 60-second video. It took me like 4 hours. It was so like, I didn't know what I was doing. It was so scary. And I just want to tell you, if you've never tried editing video in Descript, it is ridiculously easy. And I do it all the time now. And I'm not a video person. And so those are the two things. It's like, I obviously I'm biased, but like use Descript and collect video every step of the way.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's awesome. And I love this sort of motivational quote from our friend on YouTube, the Virtual Islander. Oh, wait, I picked up the wrong thing. Here we go. There it is. My fear of not succeeding is stronger than my fear of being on video. I think that's really beautiful. The hip senior. Yeah, like, when I'm nervous about trying something new like this, especially with the added like, yeah, I'm going to put it on my Twitter. My friends are going to see it. I'm scared. I know I'll regret not trying more than regret having done it. Yeah. Like, it's cool to try things. So I really love this. The hip senior, I'm your fan.
And something else that I've started kind of changing in my own personal philosophy is like, you can stop doing anything. Like you don't, just because you start doing something new for your show doesn't mean you have to keep doing it. I know like people think that your audience is like, oh, they expect it now, but it's like, they're not really paying attention to every single thing you're doing. And honestly, if it's not working, they probably weren't watching. But it is a good idea to spend that little extra time seeing if this thing could be workable for you, because if it is, it just opens the door to so much potential.
Totally. Absolutely. Yes. Awesome. That's great tips for starting out. On to the next, I think. Starting out tips 2, technical tips time. So we're talking the actual editing, filming, getting it on social. Where should we start?
Yeah. So like I mentioned in the beginning, there's a great 101 from Kevin O'Connell that was done in this exact, it was a Descript event, and it's on YouTube. So you can find that. Maybe someone can put a link in the chat. And
I'll grab it.
Me personally, the way that I do things is I record everything, as I was saying, I record everything in Squadcast. I import it to Descript. It's all video. I edit it as a normal podcast, but with the video component. So, which is basically, it's exactly the same in Descript, whether you do video or audio. And I record all narration with myself on camera. I don't care about looking into the camera when I do it. I literally just look at the screen, and it's me doing this, like looking at a screen. Like I know that is it's easier is better than perfect. It's just, so that's how I do it. And then I edit everything for audio. And in my last step, I will put a title card. I will put, sometimes there are gaps where I put music, right? And there's no actual footage. And so, I have a pretty graphic that goes there.
Right.
And that takes me, I think it takes me about an hour to go from my finished audio edit that I've already exported to actually turning that audio edit into a video that I can put on YouTube. So it's not a ton of extra time because I've already packed all that into my workflow. So that's the thing about that is editing for video makes for a lot of jump cuts. It's a lot of, if you take out every it's the person's going to be jumping around. The thing is though, that most of the time people who you're interviewing are not moving around that much. So it's not really that noticeable. I in my experience. So if you have that extra time, you can do a whole other video edit that is completely separate from your audio edit. I feel like most of us probably don't have that extra time. So I would just recommend doing that audio edit and then sending it out in the world.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Sweet. Anything else on editing, or should we jump on to promoting on social, packaging up those clips?
Let's go to promoting on social. I mean, that was pretty much it. So,
okay, great.
For social, Descript makes it very easy. I'm just going to say Descript again, but it makes it very easy to pick out those clips that you really love from your episode and, copy to new composition and turning it into a square or a long video, vertical video. That's the word that the youths use. And putting in those fancy captions and turning it into a really nice little video audiogram.
Totally.
And yeah, that's how I would do it. I would just edit everything in Descript and then pick out those things. You can also create your own template in Descript to do that. You don't have to use Descript. A lot of people use Canva for these things too. There are really cool templates on Canva for that. If you're an old school digital audio workstation kind of person, and yeah, that's a great way to do it.
Totally. Cool. What platform do you have the most fun like sharing your pod clips on, social wise? I mean,
you know what? So the clips themselves, I put them on Twitter. They get some attention, whatever, like sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
Honestly, TikTok's been the most fun because I'm not even posting those clips. I'm finding things from my episode that would make a good TikTok. So for example, this was really fun actually. My first episode of this season was about addiction. And in the episode, I talked about some things that Dare taught us in school that were wrong.
Okay.
And so I was like, this would make a good TikTok. I'm going to do three fake things Dare taught you.
Right.
And so I just I sat on my stairs, I used my phone, and I just talked into the camera, did some edits, added some captions, and put it out. And it is still it's still rising in the numbers. It got like 1,000 views in the first, few days. And like, I was like,
cool.
I'm so good at this TikTok thing. And then, the next like 3 TikToks did not do nearly that well, but that was the most fun for sure.
That's super fun. Cool. Yeah. It's so fun to see those little numbers go up.
Yeah.
And what I love about TikTok, and this is also just the way that I personally use it, but it's like this vibe of anybody can comment on anything. It's like it's just a big conversation.
It is.
So like the getting to, and it's like so easy to chat with them. It's right on your phone. The comment section is like the whole point, really.
It is.
So yeah, it's so great for engaging. So
yeah,
super fun. Cool. Okay. All right, we're on to our last section, I believe.
All right. I'm most excited for this. This will be great.
Yes.
Because I think it's really helpful to talk about this stuff in theory is one thing, but like actually to see what people are doing is great. Yeah.
Completely agreed. Yes. And we're doing amazing on time because there's lots of good questions in the chat. So we'll we'll have plenty of time for Q&A. Cool. So,
Okay.
but yeah, let's jump into those real examples from indie pods.
Okay, so fair warning, as we said up top, because of technical difficulties, you will not hear any of the audio for this.
Right.
But we can, actually, I wonder if I can share this with Katie, who is in the chat, I assume, and she can share the links that I'm sending, so you guys can check them out.
That would be awesome.
Let's see. Here are the video links.
Awesome.
Boo, 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 boo.
Thanks, Katie, for all the help.
There we go. Okay. Cool. So the first one that we've got is, I have to share my screen. Here we go. It's a lovely, if you're interested in the topic of creating creators at all, I highly recommend this show. It's called Creator Debates. It's pretty new. It's got a wonderful video component. So this is a really highly produced version. And I'm just going to press play. And so this is their cold open. This is the quote up top. And I will go forward. So he's got B-roll. He's got a beautiful studio.
Right.
And it's clear that he has a video producer who does this. So this is super cool. This is like, if you have someone that you can pay to make a video like this, it's, you're off to the races.
Nice.
So this is one of the examples that a lot of people think of when they think of a video podcast. It's mostly chatting, and it is just videos of people's heads, but that's not the only way that you can do it. There is, well, actually, I'm going to show you another one that's really highly produced that doesn't have a lot of production value. It's just a really nice studio. This is like, I want to thank my my Gen Z nieces for telling me about this show. It's called Two Hot Takes. And they just have this studio that they just sit down in, and they honestly, they're in pajamas right now, basically. But everything's so nicely put out that it doesn't really matter. And it it's obviously on purpose. They want to look comfortable, but they have tons of, look, they have 500,000 subscribers. This thing has 250,000 views from 1 month ago. So they're doing very, very well.
Awesome.
There's a title card. Yeah. So that's another way to do it. If you just have the space, you can set up a camera and then do all your interviews that way.
Right. She's even got her dog right there.
Yeah, she does. It's cute.
Love it.
The next one is for our fiction podcasters. Read Dracula, which you may have heard of. I've seen a lot of promos for it. This is just B-roll. It's entirely B-roll that they put together while they're narrating over it. So this is you're hearing the trailer to the show, and you're just seeing footage of different things that are associated with the show, but you're nobody's, there are no human actors or anything.
Right.
Except for the people who are in the audio. Yeah. So that's a really cool way to do it too. Like, you could just get really creative and film your hands, whatever.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. Okay, so this is one that I have been really fascinated by. The show is called Wild West Extravaganza. It is one man, Josh Taylor, I want to say. Yeah, that's right. Josh Taylor, who he tells stories about the Wild West. And he talks about, Billy the Kid and things like that. And all of his video content is a static image. That's all it is. Like, you don't see, I could scroll through all this. It's just the same thing. And yet, look how many views it has. One day ago, he has 4,000 views on this static image. And so I actually DM'd him and I was like, what is going on? Like, how do you do this?
Yeah.
Number one, persistence. He's been doing this for several years, and it's taken a really long time to get this kind of audience. Number 2, he says it's his niche. He says he skews older. So apparently the audience that he has just kind of prefers to listen on YouTube.
Cool.
And number 3, he optimizes for YouTube. He makes things that are specific to it. He as you saw on his main page, he where is it? Oh, no, it's not there. There it is. He has a lot of YouTube shorts. He does like different playlists. He really pays attention to his YouTube account and he treats it with care. He's got a good, banner. He's got a good profile pic, and that is kind of he pays attention to it. So it's not set it and forget it. He treats it with loving care. So I just feel like that's a wonderful example of like, you don't have to do too much as long as you treat the algorithm right.
Yeah. I also feel like you made a really good point about how he knew his audience liked listening on YouTube. Like maybe before you dive in and do all these things, you can poll your audience too.
Absolutely.
Would you guys want to see video from me? Where are you listening? But yeah, that's a really good point for getting to know your audience so you can meet them where they're at.
Yes, that's a great point. The next we have, I mentioned Darknet Diaries. So this is just slightly more production value than Wild West Extravaganza, because there's a little bit of
movement.
Yeah, there's animation, and I seem to think, I don't know this for sure, but it looks like it's custom. So maybe he hired someone to make custom templates for him. Maybe this is just a pack. Maybe he did it himself. I don't know. But, look at that. A week ago, and he has nearly 40,000 views on this video. Now, Darknet Diaries is an insanely popular podcast, so that makes some sense. But, we've said before that New York Times podcasts and NPR podcasts are not getting these kinds of numbers. And there's, it's been around for a long time. So it's had that momentum to build up an audience. And I'm sure that it's, that he's really paying attention to the algorithm and doing everything he can to get this stuff seen.
Awesome.
As an example, now I know we talked about we're only doing indie podcasts here, but I do want to show you. We mentioned that Descript helped a lot of big podcasts create audiograms for their back catalog. Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History is one of those. So this is it. Now it was posted 3 months ago and has and now I have an ad. Great.
An ad.
Yay, but yeah. Okay, we have 2 seconds. 2 seconds of this ad.
We can deal with it. Yeah.
Okay. And so, this is it. This is it. But it was posted 3 months ago and has nearly 10,000 views. So,
yep,
doing something right.
Cool.
And lots of comments.
Yeah, like folks, you could make that today. Like you could make that exact thing. I went from I'll send in this like the specific a live event where we show folks how to make social videos too. I know it can feel daunting.
Perfect, yeah.
I had no idea how to do it before, and now it's my favorite thing to demo for other people. It's really fast. Like you can have the same look in audiogram as Malcolm Gladwell, I promise. So
yes.
It's awesome.
Great. Okay, so these are we're going to do some TikToks now. 2 people who I have personally interacted with. One is 2 Dudes Watch Cartoons is the name of their podcast, and they do really well on TikTok. I really wish you could hear this. But see, they do something a little different. It's not just 2 guys sitting next to each other. They're going back and forth between the screens. They are showing B-roll. They're showing exactly what they're talking about. They're talking about the Mario movie right now. And these are short form. They picked out the funniest moments in their show and they are sharing them. And I want to show you, this was one person who told me that, the numbers that they're getting on Instagram and TikTok are way beyond the numbers that they're getting in audio only. So you see this one got 53,000 views. There's another one that, these are, a couple thousand, 130,000. Like some of these, if they take off, tons and tons of people could be exposed to your show. So,
Yep.
Doing things that are specific to TikTok is what they're doing. And so they have had a lot of success doing short form video, and the hosts are real evangelists for podcasters doing this because
Cool.
they just think it's magic. And then I want to share, this is actually a friend of mine. We have a podcast together that I've never even mentioned called Spellbound Gagged. It's about something similar to Taboo Science. It's about the dark side of science, but it's more of a chat show.
Cool.
But her main podcast is called Just the Zoo of Us. And it's a delightful show. I recommend it to everybody. It's really wonderful to listen to. Where they rate animals. So they talk about every episode, they talk about one or two different animals, and they rate them on, I want to say, appearance, ingenuity, and effectiveness. I might be wrong, but it's really funny and wonderful.
Ingenuity.
So you can see her page. None of these are topics, or very few of them are topics that she's actually covered in her show.
Right.
But she has a brand. Her brand is talking about animals. So myth-busting lemmings, top 10 names for roly-polies. That got 20,000 views. And so every so often you could see she has an audiogram from her show. But most of the time, it's just when you do a show, I think podcasters are really familiar with this, that if you do a show every week for years, you become a real expert in the topic that you're talking about.
Yep.
So it doesn't take you much to just get on your phone and talk about something that you know about already. And that can be a great way to promote yourself and your show on these social media platforms. And I think she does a really good job at that. Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's so fun. Like it feels exciting. Also, the process of coming up with creative, like adjacent things to talk about on top of your regular audio content, like the roly-poly thing. Like,
yeah,
that's so fun. Like that's
is.
a blast. And like totally promotes her show of like more random animal stuff.
Yes,
it's such a blast. Super cool. Those were amazing examples. It sounds like folks in the chat found those really helpful. So
Good.
Thank you for collecting those, Ashley.
Of course.
And Katie threw all of those links in the chat, so you can go afterwards, check all those out, folks.
Awesome.
Okay, amazing. It's Q&A time. Anything else you want to say before I fire a bunch of questions at you?
I'm ready for the questions. Let's do it.
Okay, great. Actually, one thing I will say.
Okay.
We've been talking about how we use Descript for a lot of these things. Again, you don't have to use Descript, but I'm just going to bring this up one more time. I would love if you got a free month of Descript Pro to try this out. You can scan that code. It'll get you that, or you can use code video podcast when you check out. We'll send this in the follow-up email, so don't worry about snacking it. I'll also leave it up for a second after. But yeah, definitely give it a try. Try it out. My infomercial is done. Okay, great. Okay, now rapid fire questions for the next 10 minutes. Folks, keep them coming in the ask a question section, and I'll try to get as many. Okay. First, what self-lighting is Ashley using?
Oh,
You've gotten lots of compliments on it.
The light in front of my face?
Yes.
Oh yeah, it's just a ring light on Amazon. I don't even know what the brand is, but yeah, ring light.
Cool. Sweet. You can get some really cheap ones. I think I got mine for $20.
Yeah, I think that's how much this was.
Sweet. Cool. Okay. When to do short form versus long form video?
It's completely up to you. I think if you're already doing long form video, short form video is a very easy lift from there.
Yep.
And if you don't have the time for long form video, do short form video instead. I think short form video should be part of your strategy no matter what, though, just because it is a much better way to share your new episode on social than just sharing a link and maybe talking about what the episode was about.
Absolutely. Cool. This one's funny. What about the video when I wasn't camera ready? What can I do besides look busted? Which is hilarious.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's I mean, that's so hard, right? And I think we're
Right.
also
We've
our
all-
own worst critics.
Yes.
Like, you
Totally.
probably didn't look as busted as you think. You know, there are a lot of filters out there. You could do a filter. You could you could put it into like an AI video app and turn yourself into a puppet.
Yep.
That might be something. But yeah, I don't know. That's, you know, that's one of those hard questions that we all have to
Totally.
deal with.
If it's just you and it's just your video, you could also instead like axe your video and throw up your favorite selfie and use it as a static image. Like if you're like, this is not the video for me.
Totally. Actually, I do have one, now that I think about it. I had one guest. He did not look busted, but his webcam was on the fritz, and it just had him. You could find this on YouTube. It just had him up like this, so he's just real close.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not gonna, like, I would usually full screen the guest in my video, and I was like, I'm not gonna do that to him. That would be bad. So every time he talked, it would be both of us. So at least he was smaller. At least it was just less noticeable. But yeah, so that's one way. I don't know.
Totally. Editing hacks for sure. Cool. Sweet. Okay, this is a Descript question. In audio, I'm going to throw it up, but we can also skip it if we can cover it later. But if you edit out filler words, it can make the video cut weirdly. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, so that's an issue. Really, like, if it's very important to you, I would make a video edit that's completely different from your audio edit. If it's not that important to you, just let it be. You know, it's not perfect, but whatever. And I also find that it's not actually as big of a deal as I think it's going to be, because a lot of the time, if you're just doing a Zoom call with someone, they're sitting in the same place the whole time, so the cuts are really just maybe with their mouth, but they're not like jumping all over the place, so it's kind of okay. But yeah, those are my tips.
Okay, awesome. Next one. Should I have an intro and exit clip for a video podcast? I have an audio intro and exit for my audio podcast.
I mean, it's very helpful. If you want to go the extra mile, go on Fiverr, get someone to animate something for you. Awesome. Right. You don't have to. You can use the same intro and outro that you use for your podcast. You can use the audio and then just have a title card. That's what I do. I use a title card at the beginning and the end, and that's it.
Cool.
So either way.
Awesome. Do you use and recommend Riverside? Testing that one out and just wanted to know what you thought. Descript has been my go-to for taking social clips from the podcasts. Awesome.
I had used Riverside for a really long time for that podcast I mentioned on Discovery. Liked it okay. I'm currently using Squadcast. I freaking love it. I think, you know, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. But yes, I do recommend using a service like that, a cloud-based video audio conferencing service instead of Zoom, because Zoom is made for meetings. It's not made for recording.
Totally. Which is the perfect segue to a Zoom question. We record our podcasts over Zoom with guests all over the country. Are there tips for getting a guest camera set up so that it's high quality but easy for them and price effective?
Yes, their phone. Because if you use an iPhone and an iMac and a Mac computer, and I'm an Android user, so hold on, Android people, I got you too. If you use Apple products, you can it's automatic in the latest OS that it can connect to each other, and you can use your phone as a webcam, and the camera on your phone is infinitely better than any webcam you can get.
Totally.
Now, if you have Android, download the Camo app, CAMO. It costs a little bit of money, not that much, and it'll let you turn your Android phone into a webcam on your computer. And it's really high quality. I actually usually use it for these events, and my phone itself was acting weird, so I decided not to. But it's such high quality.
Awesome. Cool. There actually was a question about our cameras. So yeah, I think they just asked what cameras are we using right now?
So currently I'm using the Opal C1, which is one that some people on our team were using. And I was like, that looks really good. And then I bought one.
Cool.
What about you?
I'm just using my Mac thing.
It's good stuff.
Nothing fancy. Yeah, I've been thinking about upgrading it because we do these events so often.
Yeah.
I also there's the new Apple continuity camera thing.
Yes, that's what I was talking about. Yep.
Right. Okay. Yes. So I would like to try that, but I don't know if
that.
it's Restream compatible yet.
No, it should be. It should.
Okay.
Yeah, it's because it just turns into a video input, so you could just choose that.
Cool.
Just like if you used a different webcam.
So then you would just like set it up on a tripod or something.
Yep. Yeah, and you can buy a tripod. I have one right here. Just a little phone tripod.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool. I have one of those ones that's like you can move it all around.
Octopus legs?
Yes.
Nice.
It really looks like a robot octopus. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Sweet. Where was I? Can you talk more about the templates on Descript? Do you mean just a static title visual, or is there a template for a whole podcast format with intro, content, outro, etc.? Maybe we can give a little more of a spiel on that.
So by template, it's usually a scene. And correct me if I'm wrong, Christiana, because you've done these 101s, but it's a template is basically you can create a scene at the beginning that you have saved that looks like your title card. You can have a scene in the middle that looks like, the gap between footage,
right,
and a scene at the end that's your outro. Is that
exactly
right?
Yeah. So you could have, say you just throw your media into Descript, and you know that for every single video podcast, you want your logo in this corner and captions. Before you do any of your other editing, you could have a template with those things and you just drop it at the beginning. And then for the whole thing, all of your scenes that you make, no matter if you cut it up more, those will be on there. But then, yeah, Ashley's exactly right. So you have a scene, this is your intro section. There's your intro that has your music. Your bio pops up, and then same for your outro. You might be wondering, what's a scene? It's like how you edit video in Descript. Check out a Descript 101, or we have a whole template event. Our YouTube playlist, live events, has all of those things. So you can catch a deep dive there. Awesome. Cool. Did Ashley's audience grow when she started doing more video?
So it's very early days, and I'm also doing a ton of stuff to try to grow my audience in different ways. So it's very hard to tell.
Got it.
But I'm going to say right now, no. Like, I don't think that video is contributing to my audience growing. But it is just giving me a cooler presence online that's like, it's not just an image, it's not just text, like I can share social video. And I also, I'm going to hammer that home that like perseverance is really the key to, if you start fresh on any platform, you're not going to get 1 million views overnight. It's going to take you time to learn the platform, number one, and for people to find you. So, I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to keep honing my skills, and I'm going to keep kind of trying to polish up my my YouTube page, and learn more about the SEO of it, and try to increase those numbers.
Love it. Super cool. Yeah, I like that's such a real answer. Like, all creators are always trying stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
They're not all going to work. It's just part of it. It's part of the hustle for sure. But video definitely seems like a worthwhile one for sure.
Definitely.
One last question. It's come up a couple of times is, do you use AI in your workflow at all, Ashley?
I do use AI in my workflow. So cool. I will use ChatGPT to help me come up with interview questions, which is always really surprisingly good. Like I will come up with my own 5 or whatever, and then I'll be like, well, ChatGPT, who do you this is the person I'm going to interview. What do you think I should ask them? And they always come up with something that I didn't think of at all. That's really good. And then, other stuff is not so good, but it still gives me that extra push. I will use AI for show notes. It's really good for a lot of AI tools right now have a ChatGPT function that will search your it will use information from your transcript to answer questions. So if you want to have a tweet thread from your show, it can do that for you. And again, this is something that I edit heavily after it makes it for me, but it gives me that raw material to work with. And then those are the two main things that I use AI for. Yeah.
Cool. Our last event that we did together was about AI for creators. So there's a whole hour where we dove into a bunch of different tools, the philosophical, should we be scared? Should we not be scared? Conversation. So definitely check that out. Which is a perfect segue for us to start our closing. Great rapid fire, by the way. I think you just hit like 12 questions.
Oh, awesome.
So yes, that was really amazing. But segue, we do Creator HQ based events. So what that means is we get a lot of the inspiration for these topics from our blog, Creator HQ. It's not Descript. It's not strictly Descript tutorials. We're talking about like what life things for creators, the craft side of things. So this is our third one. Mm-hmm. They're all up on YouTube. Go check out those other ones. But also let us know what else you would like to hear us cover. We've got a great one, I think, coming up on promotion, maybe next month, how to promote your stuff. But we're all ears. What would you, lovely audience members, like to hear from us? We want to do what's most helpful for you. Other than that, definitely join our Discord community. You can scan the codes, either of these codes, and join. These conversations happen there as well. Super fun. And then, of course, if you're ready to get started, try Descript for this. If you don't have a tool you like already or you're looking for a new one, we highly recommend it. Yes, we're biased, but we do think it will help make your life a little bit easier there.
For sure.
Super cool. Ashley, this has been so fun.
Yeah, so fun. Thanks for having me.
A lot of folks are interested in your podcast, so could you just repeat where can folks find you after this?
Taboo Science. You can find it anywhere you get podcasts, but also tabooscience.show.
Sweet. Amazing. All right. Yeah. Well, this has been so fun. Thank you all, audience members. Thank you, Katie, our friend Katie, for holding it down in the Ask a Question section. And lastly, there's a poll running where we would love your feedback on how you enjoyed this event. But yeah, this has been so fun. Yeah. And thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you, everybody. And we'll see you next time.
Great. See you then.